So we just want to start out by just giving a kind of a quick further introduction, so to speak. So as was mentioned, I've worked for 4 of the top 10 carriers. So if you're wondering who the heck that is, I've been on your side like a good neighbor. I've served those who serve you, and I've worked under an umbrella. So that'll tell you who I've worked for. I've also worked for 2 of the largest contracting companies. In addition to that, I've had the pleasure, and it's been awesome, to work with Harrison and his group at Actionable Insights for about just over 2+ years on this project. And then finally, because I don't want to ever change it, or if you know John Glissmeyer, I don't want to admit it, but I'm one of the older certified trainers. I don't know if it's 15 years or not, but I refuse to change it because it's just going to make me older. So that's who I am. Mr. Harrison?
Hey, what's going on? My name is Seth Harrison. I'm the Executive Director of Actionable Insights. Actionable Insights is an educational 501c6 nonprofit. We're a trade association. We were founded by a group of adjusters and contractors in San Diego about a decade ago who all agreed that claims are getting harder to settle. It's harder for contractors to do good work and get paid fairly. It's harder for adjusters to process with accuracy and efficiency, with speed, with as much volume as they have on their plates. So we were founded to preserve the health of the restoration ecosystem. How do we actually do that? We hold classes, we train Xactimate, we train Matterport. But most importantly, we build resources for those that are joining our trade association. One of the most important resources we've had now for 2 years is the Actionable Profile. It's a profile in Xactimate, similar to the contractor profile or the carrier profile, but it leverages XactXpert to provide live estimating guidance to all of the people using our profile every day. So I've been working on this project alongside Verisk for now about 3 years, and I'm very, very much excited to show you what exists today. Rob, why don't you break down the history and background of where we're at?
Sure, thank you. Okay, so here's the other thing. If you've never seen me or Seth speak, we speak a lot about Xactimate. The one thing you don't want to do is we're both usually Energizer bunnies. We bounce around the stage. Okay, they have locked us down with these microphones and not giving us wireless ones. So if you see us about to hit each other, we're used to having free roam. So sorry about that. So let's talk about kind of what the DNA is, because it's amazing every day when I hear people try to describe what this tool is actually built for, and it's usually not right. So we will talk about what the goal is, but let's talk about where the DNA, how this thing kind of evolved. So as you can see, yes, we have a lot of people from Verisk that have been working on this. But when I say Verisk, I mean we have customers' feedback on both the carrier and the contractor side. Okay. Additionally, we've worked with unbelievable organizations such as Actionable Insights. And Seth, if I'm not mistaken, you have an organization out there, am I correct?
Yeah.
What's it called?
So he's talking about our Facebook group, which some of you may know, Xactimate Ninjas, with over 22,000 people, contractors and adjusters, posting questions about sketching, line items, and now XactXpert.
Okay, so to tie that in here, it's a collaboration of both contractors, insurance providers, we have TPAs, we have a lot of people that are giving us unbelievable instruction and feedback on some of the rules we're going to talk about today. Yesterday, there's a gentleman, we're going to call him Todd. Why?
Van Sant. Well, he is...
Because his name is Todd. That's why we're going to call him Todd. So he was here yesterday, but he is another certified trainer working with us on this project. And when we counted up just the years of certified trainers on this particular project, it's over 150 years of training expertise. He made the point one day, which I think is a cool visual. He said, having XactXpert is like having an Xactimate certified trainer over your shoulder with 150 years of experience. That's pretty powerful for someone new coming in the industry. Okay, but let's talk about where we've gone in the last few years. A lot of what you're going to hear today is how we have evolved, but we have to understand what is the genesis for where we began. So initially where we started with, many of you are familiar, you don't even know how many people come up to me and Seth with the old inspection wizard and love telling us that when they get that, the amount of doorknobs is inconsistent with the amount of doors or things that they're just thrilled with that. No, they're not at all. But where I'm coming from is those rules have been around for anywhere from 15 to 17 years, and it's 105 what we call legacy rules. Those rules are hard-coded, okay? You don't have to remember that. All you have to take away from that is we had 105. Where are we at today? I think when I did the count on Friday, we were at 5,276 rules in our current rule library. So you can see that rule library is much deeper and much more mature now. We have about 600 different people in instances using this and about 20 different profiles that are using this. So that's just where we're at today. Okay? So let me ask you this question, Seth. What is the goal of XactXpert, sir?
To ensure that the most accurately, technically sound estimate is created the first time. One of the reasons we were very excited to get into this project, I have been to a lot of these conferences, and I especially make sure I go to the carrier session so that I can understand what trends are happening, what pain points. And what I heard last year was that the average estimate in a claim gets revised. Wait. You want me to ask them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interaction time.
How many times do you think your average estimates gets revised every claim
Before
it's settled?
Yes.
What do we think?
Have fun today.
3? Who else? 16. Okay, that's a bad time. Right? Okay, 3 is pretty close. It's 3.7 times per claim. Contractor to carrier, carrier to contractor, contractor to carrier, carrier to contractor. That is incredibly inefficient and painful for everyone. If you have a tool like XactXpert that is able to provide live estimating guidance in real time, that's looking for the mistakes that you're making, that's looking for the things that you missed that you're supposed to include, then we actually have a great chance at getting to the best possible estimate the first time you are creating it. Now, why does getting a technically sound, accurate estimate matter? It limits duplicative communication. It ensures compliance and accuracy regardless of what environment you're working in, regardless of how that work was won by your company. It reduces the time to settle claims. Like, I think yesterday we heard the 4 heads on the stage after the keynote talk about the longer a claim is open, the more expensive it is. So naturally, if we have tools that can help us get to a settled claim faster the first time around, this is in everyone's interest, especially the policyholder who we're trying to indemnify. That's everyone's goal in this room at this conference. It also minimizes the necessity of additional supplements later in the claim, which we will also address in a little bit.
Okay, so to summarize that, I think what you just told me was the goal of XactXpert is to indemnify the policyholder as fast as possible, get the contractor paid, and file closed.
And as accurately as possible.
Sounds good to me.
Me too.
Okay, so let's talk about how does XactXpert do that. So the first way we do that, there's 3 kind of ways, and we're going to set the stage because Seth and I, we're not PowerPoint people. Let's show you live. Let's show you what's going on, what's out there today. So that's where we're trying to get. But the first rule that we're going to talk about is what's called an overage alert. So I can tell you just from looking at data all day, every day, the #1 cause of loss that goes through Exact Analysis every year for the past, I think, 18 of 20 years is wind and hail losses, okay? So 42% of all the losses going through XA are wind and hail. If you're curious, the second one is about 23% at water losses, but we're gonna focus on just wind and hail losses today. Therefore, most contractors and carriers, their #1 issue they're dealing with are roofing categories. 8 of the top 10 categories are roofing, with the other 2 being, in Rob Harrell's opinion, not Seth's, the not accurate way to estimate, which is USR MISC, and then this one called BIDITM. Okay, so that everything we're using is roofing. So what we're going to show you today live is that we're going to pick on 30-year architectural shingles, both with and without felt. The reason why we're picking that is because when you're adding back felt and shingles, you typically will separate them so you're not adding a waste factor onto the felt, which doesn't need one. So that's what we're talking about with an overage. Seth, what about an omission?
Yeah,
what's that?
Overages, you made a mistake, you did something you're not supposed to do. Omissions is the opposite of that. You forgot something. You were supposed to include something. You were supposed to do something. Hey, you've added something, but you actually haven't added enough of it. That's what an omission alert is. How many of you were self-taught or peer-taught in Xactimate?
Raise a hand. Raise your hand if you were self-taught or...
Like, most of us learned what we could find from the people around us. That doesn't mean we learned the right things or the wrong things. We just learned what was available to us. And so what XactXpert does is it allows us to provide those kind of omission guidance in real time to help people understand, hey, here's what you're supposed to be doing. Here are things that may be warranted to include in your particular scope. I started my career as a program estimator in this industry, and I felt many times like all I was told was what I can't do. And when I finally joined Actionable Insights and was on a mission to create these resources to help people understand what they could do or should do or what was out there, XactXpert is my greatest chance to spread of, hey, here's how this software works. Here's how those line items are supposed to function. Why are omission alerts so important? Supplements. Supplements are often necessary, but they're almost always painful to a claim. Every adjuster I talk to doesn't love supplements because now they have to pull up the original scope and the second scope and cross-analyze and make sure there's no double. It's just a mess. When if we had the chance to settle it the first time accurately and soundly, that's in everybody's best interest. It also means, omission alerts means fewer omissions. It means less incentive to add superfluous things to our estimates. If we're getting our estimates right, we're not trying to find things in the gaps and the spaces in between to make up for it. And one of the most important things to me is speeding up the learning curve of someone joining this industry and using this software. One of the big trends we've heard at this conference is talent, labor. We need people in this industry. How do we expect them to succeed in the modern claims environment without tools that are actively guiding them in real time as to what they are doing wrong and what they are doing right and what they maybe need to include that they haven't done yet? Doesn't that sound good? Right? I don't know about you, but when I joined this industry, I came from selling supplemental insurance on the street in Aflac, and I joined the restoration industry, and I would have loved to have someone help me. But more often than not, all the people around me had just as much work as I did, and nobody had time to stop and slow down for me. So now, there's a tool out there that can provide those overage alerts and omission alerts in real time. But that's not the only type of alert. There's a third one.
There is a third one. So before we jump to the third one, we're just going to set the stage on what we're going to show you live. Okay? Sticking with roofing, to give you an example of an omission, we're going to use ridge cap. So typically, if you use a 30-year architectural shingle, you cannot cut that and put a ridge cap up there. So we're just going to show you if you're using a 30-year architectural shingle, typically an omission is people forget to put a ridge cap. I'm just setting the stage to say when we get live, that's what you're going to see. Okay? The third type of, this is what I'm the most excited about, me personally. Yes, overages and omissions are awesome. But all my years on the insurance carrier side, there were two words I heard were no-nos. Those two words were market conduct study and bad faith, okay? Which means regulatory compliance. So what we're gonna do is when we're in the demo, I'm gonna show you a really cool way that XactXpert can help reinforce regulatory compliance or Department of Insurance, okay? So those are the three we're gonna be looking at. Let's see it live.
Let's do it. How many of you want to see what XactXpert looks like in production today? What it's capable of, how it works. All right. I'm going to jump out of the slide deck here, super professional, and jump into an estimate here. What Elevate, or what Verisk has done, is created kind of an Elevate instance, but I've actually added the actionable profile to this instance. So we're going to be working in a Verisk instance with the actionable profile. Now, I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a line item in. Oh, first off, yeah, Rob's always reminding me, close the left-hand side. Do you guys see this drawer on the right-hand side of XactXpert? Oh, I forgot to ask. Has anybody not seen this before? Has never seen XactXpert? Oh, wow.
Okay, yes. Hold on. Wait. Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
How many of you know that this sidebar has been out there on the carrier profile since June 27th of this year?
Last year.
Last year? Sorry.
Yeah.
Last year.
There is no June this year yet.
Yes, I know, you're right. Forgot to turn the clock back.
Yeah,
but this has been out there since June 27th we launched this.
First off, if you've never seen it, it may be because it's normally collapsed.
Correct.
You'll see it can just quickly pop it up here, and so that I can be able to see the real-time guidance that XactXpert is providing.
But Seth, I don't like that.
Oh, so go ahead and collapse it back.
Oh, okay. One click, I can get rid of it? Cool.
You got that control over this particular guidance here. All right, I'm going to add a line item here. RFG 300S. This is with the replace plus activity, and we'll go ahead and put a calc of 1 in our square department here. RFG 300. All right. On the right side, first of all, it's working so fast I didn't even have time to call out. Make sure you watch the right side drawer because you're going to see an alert pop up in real time. Now, let's go ahead and do this. And I know for my people in the back, we got used to doing some zoom in over yesterday. So is that better? Can you guys see it back there real well? Nice. Okay.
Good.
What does this alert say? Felt should be estimated as a separate line item via RFG 300S and not included in the shingle replacement line item. That's the name of the alert. With the message being, should be estimated as a separate line item, please review the series of RFG 300 without felt line items. Now, I have a couple different ways to resolve this, but the primary one is I need to change this line item to the non-felt version. The second I did that alert go away? Okay, I'm going to bring that back for a moment, because what we started here is this red violations. I'm going to bring your eyes to the top right corner, where I'm going to open up this little legend or key and do our little zoom in here. Because it's important to understand that there are 3 types of alerts, 3 different ways that guidance can be provided inside of XactXpert. You have violations. Stop. You cannot do this. You must fix this in the estimate. You cannot complete. You cannot print. You cannot proceed. You can still estimate. You can still sketch. You can do all your work. But you can't actually finish that scope with any unresolved violations.
Can I pass go and get $200?
No, it's a violation.
Gotta fix it. Just making sure.
You didn't ask me that one yesterday. I wasn't ready.
I didn't. That's new.
Warnings. How many of you have hit complete in Xactimate and the old inspection engine flow comes up? Talks about doorknobs. Talks about you have a ceiling fan with a light and a light in the same room. Are you sure? Okay. Those legacy rules have all been warnings. Why? Because you can either follow the guidance of the alert and address the thing in your scope, or you can bypass it. Now, lastly is cautions. Cautions are my absolute favorite alert. Why? Cautions are designed to be a reminder, a suggestion. They're not stopping you from anything. You don't have to click on them. You don't have to bypass them. You do not have to resolve them. You can still complete and print and do all the work. It just provides you a way to present a message to someone when they're doing something in the scope. Are we on the same page so far? We've got violations, must fix. Warnings, fix or bypass and explain why. And cautions, hey, don't forget about this important information. We on the same page? Beautiful. Okay. With that in mind, let's jump over here to the next example. I'm going to come over to RFG 300 here, and I'm going to change the activity code to removal. I'm going to put in a 1 square here. And I'm also going to enter RFT RIDGC for ridge cap. And in fact, I'm going to also place for removal. Now I want you to watch on the right-hand side, where as you see, I add a line item, and you just saw, like that, a new alert popped up. It's over here in the warning section. What does this particular alert say? It says, pipe jacks, vents, ridge vent, turbines, and split boots are included in the removal of the roofing material. Does that make sense? When we remove the roof, we also remove the ridge cap with the roof? Excellent. So I have 2 different ways to resolve this alert. I can either delete the ridge C line item because that material would already have been pulled off with that roof. But let's say, for example, that I actually did need to do this, that for some reason I was removing a portion of the roof and ridge cap elsewhere. I've always had the option to bypass here. Now this is going to be something new. This is new as of the most recent update to Xactimate. There is now a drop-down box here with what we call predetermined bypass reasons. I am a profile owner, the actionable profile. And every time you bypass an alert, I have the pleasure of reviewing the information that you put in the bypass field. And I am, I guess, proud to report that usually it's some combination of 2 letters, NA, OK, or FU.
And FU means follow up.
Okay, so we're clear. Now, that doesn't actually give me any information. I don't know why you're not following that alert. You didn't give me any reason as to, hey, is this alert not a good alert? Is it not firing in the right environments, right? Also, the claim doesn't get good information when you put in NA or K. We have to provide good information to the claim so that they can understand. I see some squinting in the back there, so I'll zoom in down here to show you. These are examples of the predetermined bypass reasons that have been assigned to this rule. So instead of having to type out my own manual reason, I can just say, hey, not applicable to this particular scope, and I have bypassed the alert. Or, as you can see down here, there is the user-defined field, where I can still bring up the old text box and pprovide whatever reason I may need to provide.
One important thing when we're talking about user-defined and predetermined, okay, let me ask you this question, because we've got people all over the country speaking different vernaculars. Is sheetrock, gypsum board, plasterboard, what's another word for sheetrock we could use?
Oh, dude.
But you get where I'm coming from? We could use 7 different products that have the same thing where we can put a predetermined bypass to give you better data.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear the deck again and add one more line item. It is the RFG 300S line item here with a without felt line item. And you're going to see on the right side a caution pop up. What does this caution say in this particular environment? Hey, the shingles line item may warrant the third-party price variant. Certain RFG line items utilize third-party pricing provided by a third party follow business as usual process for using third-party asphalt single pricing program. Right? That's not a warning, that's not a violation. We're just saying, hey, you're working in this environment. Don't forget that typically we're supposed to be using these third-party oriented pricing line items for this particular one. Are we on the same page so far? Excellent. All right. Now, one of the things I want to bring your attention to is the top right here. We've been working in the Instance tab of XactXpert. How many of you play around with the Exact admin portal? It's pretty much where I live all day, every day, so I'm very familiar with it. Your instance is where all your users are. It's where all their exact IDs are hosted, and then when you have different profiles that you work in, those profiles are added to that instance. Then when your people log in to that instance, they can decide which profile they want to be working in when they create an estimate and alike. Okay? On the left side of this tab here is what's called Profile. So as a profile owner, the actionable profile has over 3,500 alerts in the profile that can provide overage and omission guidance in real time. What does this actually mean? It means, as a profile owner or in a profile, that we can provide guidance to people using our profile, specific to that profile, specific to working in that environment. At the same time, we can also host rules at the instance level. Instance rules fire in every profile. So if you have guidance that you need your team to follow, regardless of the profile that they're working in, they can choose the profile, follow the profile guidance, and then jump over to the Instance tab to make sure that they've stayed in compliance with those office guidelines at an instance level. All right. The other thing that I want to call out here that I'll preview, we recently have unlocked the ability to customize instance rules such that they only fire in specific profiles. So for example, if you have instance level guidance that you know in a specific environment that won't fly or you shouldn't be doing that, then you can essentially not fire that rule in that specific profile. If you can't tell, there's an incredible amount of customization on how you can optimize these rule sets to get the best possible product the first time out the door. Okay, the reason I jumped over to the actionable profile is because I want to show you some examples of our alerts of what it looks like in this real-time guidance. Now, one of the line items I'm going to add here is DMO dump. This is one of the most common line items in Xactimate. In fact, I'm going to go clear the deck over here so that we have just the alert that we're looking for. Okay, in this particular example, we have an omission alert that is reminding us that, hey, roll-off dumpster may warrant water-resistant OSB plywood materials. I have purchased 2 driveways in my career, and I do not plan on purchasing any more driveways.
I think I've purchased like 3.
Okay, you got me. You can win that one. You can win that one
I'm a
for
loser
sure.
if I'm purchasing 3.
Here's what this alert reminds you. When utilizing a roll-off dumpster, it may be warranted to augment the dumpster with water-resistant OSB plywood via this specific line item with an activity of M materials only to protect the given driveway paving substrate from cracking or leaving impressions. I see some nodding heads like, yeah, that's right. So what do I need to do? I'm going to follow the guidance. I'm going to add this FRM 3/4, UL 3/4WW. Now I'm going to leave the activity code as plus for a moment. The alert said to set it at material only, but I'm going to add it as plus. Did the alert go away? No. I will say this honestly, occasionally we get people that give us feedback of, hey, I did what the alert said and it won't go away.
Never.
I have to politely respond, no, you didn't. Because I'm 99.9% confident that our rules are firing as intended, but if they're not, trust me, tell me and I'll fix it right away, but I know that it's working as intended. It's not like questionable of, hey, are we sure this is right? Are we sure it's no? So as soon as I come here and I change that activity code to the M material only and I hit OK, don't even have to hit OK. The alert got addressed immediately.
So I want to bring something up here because it's a very important point. So I call it the fire alarm principle, okay? Because so just to give you an example right now, what I'm seeing on average is most carriers are rolling around 300 to 500 rules, where most contractors are somewhere to like 600 to 800, okay? Now the reason why I'm bringing this up is I get told the same thing from every customer. One word, as in disruption, as in, Rob, you better not be a disruption to my end users, okay? For this display that you're showing, we are purposely firing alerts out. But the reason why I call it the fire alarm principle is that when you put a fire alarm in a building, for example, we have this building here, we have the Regency B, C, D. We want to put a fire alarm in every one of those rooms to protect as many people as we can. The only time those fire alarms should theoretically be going off will be when there's an actual fire. Okay? So what I'm saying is, again, just like you saw when Harrison correctly put in the right line items, nothing happened. Same principle applies. If you have someone writing a correct estimate, these alerts shouldn't be going off. The flip side of that is, how much protection do you want to use around that estimate? Harrison has a different philosophy, which is also outstanding. He calls it the bumper guards in bowling. We're just putting the bumper guards down to protect an estimate. That's all we're doing. It's only going to fire if you've done something wrong. Sorry, Harrison, go ahead.
And yes, maybe I do put up the bumper guards even today when I go, but only but. I mean, we don't want gutter balls in this industry when it comes to scopes.
No.
That helps nobody. Bumper guards just help you get to the end of the lane. It doesn't mean you're going to have the perfect scope, but it makes sure you didn't throw a gutter ball, because gutter balls hurt everyone. Now, I'm going to come over here to a new room called Overage Alerts to show you an example of the Actionable Profiles guidance around, hey, you've made a mistake. I'm going to enter FNCB here to replace some baseboard, and then I'm going to add PNTB greater than sign to paint oversized baseboard. And you're going to notice on the right side, a new warning just popped up. It says, less than 6-inch baseboard is currently augmented by greater than 6-inch paint or stain line items. Hey, you've got normal size baseboard, you're painting oversized baseboard. That's not correct. Those things don't align. So please audit for the correct paint or stain line item associated with a particular baseboard line item being used. So all I would have to come in here in this particular example is change that B greater than sign to a B, and I have addressed that particular alert. Now, one of the things that you'll notice about the actionable profile in this demo, I got a lot of feedback over the years of our rule set and how it's been set up. And until December of last year, 2 months ago, all of our rules are warnings. In December, we made a huge shift. Actionable's style, our stance, our vision is our overage rules are mistakes that you've made. You should either fix it or bypass and explain why. Our omission rules are cautions. We don't know if you need this thing, but we want to make sure that you're aware of this information that you might need to add it. So the last kind of example of alert I want to show off here, I'm going to actually come to the sketch tab to prove that I'm not a liar. This last room on the right here is 12 feet tall, much higher than the 8-foot standard heights in the other room. First off, did you notice that the drawer is still there? That it came with me? That no matter where I'm working or where I am in my Xactimate estimate, I have access to it, can see the guidance. Doesn't matter if I want to graphically estimate via this tab, if I want to estimate items, estimate on that tab. So the reason I bring this up is because one of the biggest advantages of XactXpert is the ability to reference every single thing in your scope while you're working, including the sketch. I can't tell you how many times that I sketched something accurately, but then I completely forgot the additional add 4 line items for working at height or things like that. So let's go ahead and add DRY add here. DRY 1/2. This is the 1/2-inch drywall, hung, tape, floated, ready for paint. And we're going to add it to this room. And you're going to see on the caution side here, a little alert right here that says, dry additional costs for high wall or ceiling, 11 to 14 feet, may be warranted. This room includes a line item for installing drywall and has a wall taller than 11 feet. Thus, an additional cost line item for installing drywall between 11 to 14 feet may be warranted if the sketch properties of this room are accurate. Right? I'm 100% sure you got it right, so I just got to remind you, hey, you put it at 12 feet, you might need this. Note, this charge should be applied to the square footage of the area that is 11 to 14 feet, not the entire square feet of the room, which is really important information to communicate because these line items are not always properly calculated. In this particular case, we would add dry add, DRY, ADD, and my calculation would be the walls between 11 to 12 feet and the ceiling at 12 feet. So in this particular case, I'll put PC times 1 plus C. As soon as I add that line item, I have addressed that particular alert to add the line items that were warranted for that particular room. All right. Well, a couple other utilities I want to show off here is I'm going to come to room 1. I'm actually going to select all 3 rooms here and come to my macros tab. And we're going to run the same macro in all 3 rooms. This is an actionable macro that's included in our profile. This is for carpet high grade. And what I want to bring your attention to is, first off, do you notice how all my alerts on the right side are currently open, expanded? I can click on the header to quickly open or collapse all the alerts for organizational purposes to get where I want to go and prioritize the screen space that I have to get to the rule I need to see. Now, what I want to bring to your attention here is this top alert. Right now, in this macro, or in this particular room, we have carpet of one style and a grade of a different, pad of a different grade. Typically, carpet grade matches pad grade. So we're giving you a little warning that says, hey, you might have something that's incongruent here that needs to be addressed before you submit the scope. Now, if I come down to room 2, is that same alert here? If I come down to room 3, is that same alert here? So one of the things to call out here, there are group alerts. Group alerts are only looking at that room. What line items are in the room? What's the sketch properties of that room? And naturally, if I wrote the scope for one room and I copied and pasted it to both other rooms, I have the same scope in all 3 rooms, I'm going to have the same kind of group alerts popping up to provide me with that guidance for that room. At the same time, you'll see down here what we call estimate alerts. These are not looking at a particular room. These are looking at your entire scope, the claim info, the loss tab, to make sure that we can provide that guidance about your entire scope and what might need to be addressed outside the individual room level.
So a good example of an estimate is deductible. Did you apply a deductible somewhere in your estimate? Just as an example.
So one of the tools I want to show you up here is the bulk bypass tool. When you have 3,500 alerts that can potentially fire up, you get a lot of feedback around, hey, it would be nice to be able to work through these things a little bit faster rather than individually bypassing each individual rule. So you'll see here at the top a little select alerts box. Now I can either just select it, and as you'll see, it has currently selected every single unresolved warning that I have here. I can hit the bypass button and say my favorite 2 letters and A. And what did I just do? I just resolved all 22 warnings that I had to do. Now, why would I might need to do that? Number 1, I need to print something. I just need to get it printed so I can get it to my team. I need to get something completed so I can just hand it off to somebody else. Or Rob.
Another time, especially in the world I came from, if you're working in a CAT environment, you can get through 22 different warnings with 2 mouse clicks, as Harrison just showed you.
Got to fly.
The other thing I want to point out here, me and Seth were adamant when we came that we're going to do this demo in production. This is not beta. This is live. Everything you're looking at today is in the system right now.
Now, I just bypassed everything. I can also select all and then reset. Please go ahead and unresolve all of these, and I've got my 22 warnings back. Additionally, I can select remaining, all the alerts that I have not bypassed yet, or I could even select all the ones specifically that I have bypassed so I can reset them. Now, the last tool I want to show you, we have the same scope in 3 rooms. We have the same alert here in all 3 rooms. I'm going to select a bypass reason and just say, hey, additional labor was warranted. Let's just say that's the one. Did you notice this little button right here that says bypass 2 duplicates? Now, I'll actually move this so you can see it. You're going to see it in the bottom middle here. As I hit bypass 2 duplicates and I scroll down, did it just automatically bypass the same rule everywhere else it appeared in my scope? All the utility, all the information, all the time. That is what I love about this product. The other thing you haven't seen, let's go to the instance examples room. There's nothing in here, but I still have alerts here. Do you see this little affected line items, 571, 558? And as I move my mouse over it, it's clickable. This is a hyperlink to that line item in your scope. So if you're ever worried or wondering, hey, what line items triggered this alert? What do I actually need to address? Let's go ahead and do that again. 565, take me there. 564, take me there. It's right there. Give me 566. So I can always, no matter, I'm over here in the estimate items tab, or sketch tab, I can always navigate to the line item that is triggering that alert to see it where it is, to better understand what's going on. Why is this alert firing off? Okay, thank you. How can I resolve it now? All right, so there's some utilities around bulk bypass, duplicate bypass. Do we feel like we have a pretty good understanding of violations, warnings, cautions, group alerts, estimate alerts, navigational utilities, right? That's a lot to nail down in a live demo in 45 minutes, but if we're on the same page, then we got a good thing going here. Rob, there's one other example of a alert that we wanted to explain or show off today. Let me go ahead and make sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Go for it.
Thank you, sir. He's amazing, isn't he? How fast he can blow. He's just an amazing trainer. Okay, so what we want to kind of show off here, let me just go over to the claim info because this is becoming very popular with a lot of our carriers. So we talked about compliance and how we can ensure there's always compliance. I'm about to describe for you, you won't see it up there, a 4-part logic rule, okay? The 4-part logic is we are looking for 1, a property that's in the state of Alabama. Number 2, a policy prefix that starts with ABC. Number 3, we are looking for policies that have an inception date before March the 15th, 2023. And then 4th, we're going to make sure that if that situation exists, you cannot depreciate labor. Okay, so let's start out here. We've got our, let me go over to my insured info. And so I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4 that's in Birmingham, Alabama. So step 1, we have Birmingham, Alabama covered, okay? Second off, I'm gonna go into my coverage and loss. You'll see, oh, look at that. I got a policy number that begins with ABC. Next off, if I look at my effective date, I said inception date. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's effective date. I need an effective date before 3/15/2023. This one just happens to be March 1st. Okay, now what you'll notice is if I come over here and I scroll down, go into my parameters tab, and I try to even depreciate labor, what you will notice is I get this little alert that fires right away that says it's a violation, which means I have to go fix it. So that's just a way from a regulatory standpoint, we can ensure that we're getting the right estimate from a regulatory. So overages, omissions, regulatory.
For those of you that work in multiple environments in multiple states, to have this kind of guidance in real time, no matter where you are, what the estimate is incredibly helpful to clean up those things at the beginning of the claims process to get a better outcome at the end. Okay, I'm gonna jump out of the demo here and back into the slideshow. Give me the thumbs up if it's working up there.
Good.
Love it, okay. Beautiful. Okay, Rob, Verisk is a data analytics company. You guys have access to information and data that everybody in this crowd comes every year to see. So I'm curious, what do the numbers actually say about the impact of XactXpert?
Yep, so we wanted to give you a local example and then some broader things we're seeing. So first off, because most of us reside in Utah, we're staying in hotels. We recently had, just like right before the conference, we had someone that was going to replace 100 2-bulb LED light fixtures in a hotel. i.e., you have 100 light fixtures, you have 2 bulbs you need at $775 a piece. Here's the thing, most people know lights either do or do not come with every light bulb. Seth, you're probably one of the best estimators in the country. That's very fair, it is true.
Thanks.
Can you tell me which lights come without lights and light bulbs?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I can't either. I've been doing it for a long time. So what I'm saying is this was the way we were able to stop a $1,550 mistake just like that using XactXpert in real time. Okay, but one of the byproducts, so like one of the coolest things that we've been getting the feedback from is a lot of program estimators who do work for multiple different carriers. What they're noticing is that the old school way of, hey, I'm writing an estimate for ABC or XYZ insurance company. What do their guidelines say? I have to go get that PDF document or go get my paper file and write it that way. Okay?
I'll never forget, page 14 of the nationwide guidelines in 2016 had antimicrobial on page 14.
And so you would have to get one document for ABC, one for XYZ, one for guess what? All those guidelines are now sitting in your estimate in one spot right now. Just a cool byproduct that we've been able to eliminate a lot of frustration from program estimators. For example, we have 4 competitors on the market, 4 different rule engines that are out there. XactXpert is the only one that's integrated in Xactimate. I did not say XactAnalysis, I said Xactimate. If you want to use many of the other ones, you have to send a referral assignment through XA. That takes 18 mouse clicks and takes on average from feedback we're getting to our customers about 8 minutes to get that report back, okay? 18 mouse clicks, 8 minutes to get where you're already at in XactXpert, and here's the bonus part. When you get that report back, I saw someone shaking their head, when you get that report back, you have to go match up which line items are the issues you have to go deal with, where Harrison just showed you the hyperlink, 1 click takes you right to where the issue is. Okay, so 2 other things just to mention real quick. We had one organization that they started looking at their quality estimate scores. They had a way they were qualifying their estimating accuracy or QA scores. After 90 days, they had improved by 12%. Now, let me give you the quasi point to that. When any organization starts a pilot, who do you think they do the pilot with? Just throw it out there. Who do they do the pilot with?
What kind of people at the company?
They take their best estimators, or do they go, let's take our worst estimators? What do they typically do?
The best.
Take their best, right? They take the tip of the spear. So this particular organization gave us the top estimators, and we were able to raise them up 12 percentage points, okay? So then one other thing just to talk about here, it was something really cool. We had a carrier come to us and said, hey, Rob, can you build us a rule? And there's a guy named Jeff. We'll call him Jeff because his name's Jeff. He works on my team. He built a rule within about 4 minutes that said anytime RFG MTL, metal roofing, is removed and replaced, send a referral over to our salvage department. They saw their salvage referrals increase 250% in 1 week. Pretty powerful.
Now, I love having Rob and Verisk as a part of this because they can help explain the numbers. But what we do in Actionable and what I love is the people, the feedback. As hard as it is, when you spend your career building something incredibly special and you give it to somebody else, you have to ask them, what do you think? And over the last 2 years, we've got a lot of feedback. And I wanted to choose 2 in particular that I thought that represent this kind of journey that we've been on with XactXpert to see what you see today. On the left, big red negative. On the right, big blue positive. The negative says, the biggest issue for me is getting a group of experienced project managers to use the profile. I think the main complaint is the perceived extra time that it took them to complete the estimate and go through the steps. It makes sense. If you know what you're doing or you've been doing it the same way for a long time, you don't necessarily love a bunch of things getting in your way of being able to do all that work. And at that time, things like bulk bypass didn't exist. So it made sense that, yeah, this is the kind of feedback that we're getting, and you can see the utility that exists today to address a lot of these perceived challenges of adopting a tool like XactXpert. But the feedback on the right, the blue, is what I live for. I absolutely love your software. I just got into the industry about 2 years ago and didn't have any guidance on when to use certain line items. I had to learn on the go through trial and error on which line items were allowed. Your software has forced me to remember the fine print items that commonly get overlooked. So it doesn't matter if you are brand new to this industry and are trying to learn, this tool can help you. It does not matter if you've been doing it for 10 years. We all make mistakes from time to time in our estimates, and this tool can help catch those so that there's no fallout on the back end when you submit it, or we end up with 3.7 rounds of revision on that claim. Now, what's new? Right? This whole presentation is around what's new. We've got some bullet points here, but I'm just going to pull up some of the screenshots. What you saw already is on the right side, but I'm actually going to zoom in here on the left side of this was the original design of XactXpert when it was first released. All right, you'll see on the right side, there's just a number of alerts. On the right side, there's some combination of orange warnings and yellow cautions. But do you understand what any of that means when you first look at it? Right, it's not very clear. It wasn't very intuitive for people, and that's why we've had the pleasure of working with the Verisk team, guys like Roger Chamberlain, to help redesign everything this is about. Right, this is such a more fresh, modern utility that gives you the design and the functionality to get all the guidance you need and resolve it with speed and efficiency. I also previewed the bulk bypass tool that exists. I also previewed that you can click the headers, violations, warnings, and cautions to quickly expand or collapse all the rules. We also talked about the predetermined bypass reasons, but that's not the only thing we're here. We got about a minute left, so it's important that you know that Verisk is actually launching something this week at Elevate. Rob, why don't you break it down?
Absolutely. So what you're seeing right here, this is our rules library. If you're interested, you can talk to your account executive, account manager. You can go see Seth and all the Cole, all the gentlemen, Derek Stone over at the Actionable Insights booth. But you can sign up to get XactXpert turned on and have access to 977 rules. So that is coming.
So feel free to stop by the Solutions Gallery. Cole in the back left over here. Cole, raise your hand. He's been hanging out at the booth. If you'd like to learn more about the actionable profile and what it looks like to estimate with our live estimating guidance, come talk to us. If you'd like to learn more about what Verisk is launching with their rules library, they are right next to us in the Solutions Gallery, the XactXpert booth. There's about an hour to an hour and a half left of the Solutions Gallery. So this is your call to action to go learn everything you can before we're on our way out of here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a great conference.